gonna have to upload.
Thank the Force. The band is back together. Star Wars Newsnet Live is here, ready to talk Star Wars. I am exhausted, but excited to be here to talk about Star Wars today. And it's going to be a good time. Luke, newly married, is back in the building. Tom, fresh off of making sure his wife had a great birthday, is in the building. I am here. My name is Tyler, joined by Tom. Luke, the trio is back. Star Wars talk has arrived. How are we doing? What's up? What are the vibes? We're talking about Rebuild the Galaxy, Andor Emmy wins, Ninth Jedi, and surprises along the way. How excited are we this evening?
Extremely excited. Apparently, there's surprises along the way, and
Yes.
I love a good surprise. I also love Rebuild the Galaxy. I also love Andor, so it's a lot of stuff that I love tonight. Honestly, I've had a good little reprieve from. I haven't been on the live show for a long time, actually, so it's really nice to be back. It's nice to be back in Star Wars realm. Honestly, I haven't even been interacting with Star Wars as much as I usually am, so it's really nice to be diving back in.
Don't worry, we exposed you last week.
Missed you.
I did get exposed last week, and I was tuning in last week, and so I consented to a very fun story that you guys got to hear last week.
So good. So good. All right. What was I said I was going to ask you. Oh, yes. So we're going to play a fun game. We have two fun games to start off with. One is completely selfish that I did, and the other that's just based on my life. And the other is completely selfish that I did for Andor season 2, just because I want to make you guys sweat a little bit. And so we're gonna do that. But first of all, today was day 1 of volleyball intramurals at school, which I am not a volleyball coach. I will never claim to be a volleyball expert. I can walk some people through the basics and whatnot, but definitely not my main wheelhouse. You know, part of my job is that I agreed to is to come in and do like intramural sports a few days a week in the morning at our school, and volleyball tryouts are in like a month. So felt like the best sport to start with would be volleyball. Kids could come in, practice, all of that sort of thing. I was expecting 40 to 50 kids this morning, which I'm like, that's a lot of kids for that, you know, but my average class size is, 40 to 50 kids. And so my question to you is, how many kids do you think I had show up this morning for day 1 of intramural volleyballs? And the winner of this competition will get a special reward.
So you said, how many do you usually get?
Well, this was day 1. Today was day 1. So I was expecting 40 to 50. That's what I kind of was expecting. Luke, you are the newly married one. So I will allow you to either make your guess, or you can allow Tom to go first and go off of Tom.
I win the coin toss and I defer to Tom. Tom, you should go first.
So you said you usually get 40 to 50. I'm going to say you got.
I'm not saying I usually get 40 to 50. I'm just saying that's what I was expecting. This is my first year doing this. So this is just what I was expecting to happen.
I'm going to say 75.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to say 19. No one, the numbers plummeted.
He bid $1.
What if I told you 168 students this morning at 8 a.m., an hour and a half before school started, and the floodgates opened, and I was like, what do you do? I was overwhelmed.
You by yourself?
So thank God the girls volleyball coach, who also is at our school, she's great. She decided to come in and help because she's wants to see some of the girls that are maybe interested in coming out for volleyball. And so she said she coming home. Thank goodness there was another person there. Or I mean, it would have been fine, but I was I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's a rough estimate. Like there might have been more, might have been a few less. That was my best count that I could get at one point was about 168, given we were dividing kids into teams and the number of teams that we had, plus some of the overflow to do, like, was we had multiple volleyball courts setting up, and we had our whole entire gym was just full of kids practicing, and then we had like little 6-point games. It was this pandemonium.
Did you have room for all those people to be there? I feel like you would just not even have room for them to be there.
I mean, they're like not really, but yes, at the same time. Like we basically just had them circle. I mean, it was nuts, dude. It was insane. And whatever my stipend is, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. But honestly, it was fun. The kids, it's crazy. Some of those kids played 30 seconds in an actual game, and otherwise we're just hitting the ball around the court because there were so many kids. And now I have a better idea of what we're going to do next time to make it a little bit smoother. Was not expecting that many people to show up. It'll be less, first day. They're always, I guess it's just crazy. It'll die down. However, I'm telling you right now, it was fun though, because they get excited about everything. But oh my goodness. Either they love volleyball. And my sister said, when I asked her, because I did a competition with my family. I was like, whoever gets the closest, I'll give ice cream, and I'll buy ice cream for them. Of course, Janelle wins. Now I got to buy her ice cream this weekend. She's of course. And my sister's like, wow, they must really like you. They heard you were running it. They wanted to show up. I was like, no, they're just volleyball crazy. If anything, they're like, all right, I guess we'll go deal with Mr. Bradshaw for a little bit extra time. But anyway, so that's game number one. Luke, you lost. I'm sorry. But Tom, your special reward is you get Boba to give you a nod of approval. And then Luke, your special reward. Let me see I didn't really think about
which one of your 1,300 Funko Pops are you gonna show?
Well, I don't have
any. 168 Funko Pops are you gonna show us?
Surprisingly, I don't have anything like nearby. Like normally I have something I can just latch onto.
Not even Jar Jar?
I know I need to bring him back. Here, hold on.
You need to bring him back. Because what even is your setup if you don't have Jar Jar?
Here's your punishment. You are being sent a squad of death troopers to or no, sorry, this is actually, what is K2's droid called? Like what are they called?
KX droid?
KX, yeah.
The KX droid. Yeah, you're being sent a KX droid. You're being sent to K2SO2 not before he gets reprogrammed. So he's going to bust down your door and bash your skull into the wall, apparently.
Gosh, asking me questions like that. I'm like, I have not tried to be on my trivia game in a minute.
All right, so now we're gonna play a fun game called. We're gonna bring a fun game back because I just had such a fun time doing this last time. We're doing Blind Andor Character Rankings Part 2 because I had such a good time last time when I believe
Edie Karn.
Edie Karn ended up as both of y'all's number one character in all of Andor.
I stand by it. I stand by it.
All right.
Uncle Hardo.
So here we go. All right. I got my characters ready to go. Will I employ the same strategy? Am I changing it up? What is going to happen? There are 4 characters or 3 characters exclusively from both seasons. They're in both seasons. Like they make their way in the whole show. 3 mains. And then we have 2 characters. We have a couple of characters that only appear in one season, but you'll see that. All right. Number 1, we're going to start with Luke. We only have 5. You have 5 ranking spots. Character number 1 is Luthen Rail.
Oof.
Okay. 1 through 5, Luthen Rail. I am going to put him at my. I learned my lesson. Okay, you got me first time. I'm putting Luthen Rail at my number 1 spot.
He said, "I'm not taking any chances." he said, "We're not taking any chances."
Luthen at the top. He's awesome.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point, Tom.
You know, he took it right out of my. I was going to say Luthen Rail is my favorite character in Andor, so I would say 1, 2. So this is probably going to make for a really not so much fun game.
It's okay. It's okay. Number 2.
Top.
We're gonna go. I was curious where you're at. That's smart. That's smart. Number 2, we're gonna go with Cyril.
And that's gonna be me first again, right?
That'd be Luke, yes.
Cyril's gonna go at the 4 spot.
Okay, so Cyril at 4 for Andor character rankings for Luke. Okay, Tom, where's Cyril going?
I'm gonna put Cyril at 3.
Okay. All right. Cyril is at 3 for Tom. So Luke has Luthen at 1, Cyril at 4. Okay. And Tom has Luthen 1, Cyril 3. Now, are you guys familiar with my good friend Barty? And if you're not familiar with my good friend Barty, let me just bring him up here for you. Remember a little guy named Barty from Andor Season 2 on Yavin 4 from My Hayes Group. Where's Barty going to end up on our rankings?
Barty is going in the 5 spot. No, maybe a little disrespect there. Okay, be nicer to my boy Andor. But he's fighting the good fight. He's with the Maya Pei Brigade. Just needed a better temperament.
better character. I just needed a better character. Tom?
Party.
I'm going to put him at 5 also. Here's a little Andor trivia from Tony Gilroy himself when I was at that event. Where his son is the other guy. He's actually there that night too. He was sitting in front of me.
Oh, really?
And I think, I believe he said, and it's online, you could probably find it, that they were, this guy who plays, what is it, Barty, you said? I think they know each other. I think they somehow, and they were bickering over something. And Gilroy was like, I have to use this in the show. And he kind of like wrote part of the interaction with them with, around some of their like arguments and things. And yeah, I just thought that was really funny. But he's going to be at number 5 for me.
Okay, all right. So we have Barty at number 5. Just the disrespect to Barty on the pod today, unfortunately. All right, number 4. A great character, Dedra Miro. We love Dedra. We love to hate Dedra. Luke, where are you going with Dedra? You have Luthen 1, Cyril 4, Barty 5. So this is solid. You have the 2 and 3 spot available.
Yes. So I'm watching through this show called The Man in the High Castle. I don't know if anyone out there has watched it, but I think it's pretty good. And there's this character, John Smith, who's a Nazi. But you get a lot of screen time with him. I feel like Dedra, John Smith has made me think of Dedra, the way you get a lot of time with Dedra. She's not a good person. She's with the Empire, but like interesting, intriguing. Dedra is going at the number 2 spot.
Number 2 spot for Dedra. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Tom, you have Luthen 1, Cyril 3, Barty 5. So you're looking for a 2 or a 4?
I love Dedra, but I'm going to put her in the 4 slot.
Okay. So
she's
Dedra
only slightly
goes
better
number
than Barty.
4. All right. So, Tom, you have your number 2 character slot available. Luke, you have your number 3 character slot available. So whoever this next character is, Luke definitively says they are a better character than Cyril Karn. And Barty, who is still on my screen. I did not realize I had forgotten to take him off. He's just been staring at us for the last several minutes. Tom, you're telling me that this character that I'm about to bring up is better than Cyril, Dedra, and Barty. Will it be a good choice or not? What if I told you about my two best friends in the entire galaxy? Dewey and Freedy. Yes, my boys from season 1.
Hey, pretty.
Dewey and Freedy. So Luke,
This
care
was
to
the only
explain-
thing in Andor I didn't like. They were like kind of goofy, but anyway,
Luke,
I'll,
can you
I'll
explain-
stand by it.
Luke, can you explain why you believe Dewey and Freedy are better characters than Cyril?
Pretty.
They were
Curious.
of
I'm
the
really
guy.
curious.
Yeah,
guys-
they actually had a quad jumper that they let
They did.
Mr. Andor and even Melshi go in. Weren't gonna
Okay.
freely just give it away, but they're good people. They helped them escape the Empire. They helped them out. Great people.
Of course, yes. Good people, good people. Now, Tom, you had him over Cyril, but you also had Dewey and Freedy over Dedra. I'm just curious why you didn't have the foresight to do this.
Probably childhood nostalgia because it was a show in the 80s. I guess it was in the 80s. It was probably in syndication at that point and probably older, called Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. And some of the older Gen X fans may recognize that show. And that's what you guys remind me of. If you Google it, you could see what I'm talking about. They were kind of goofy. I mean, it was kind of fun how they were in the show at that part, you know, with Melshi and Cassian trying to get away from Arnakina 5. But it was a little goofy, but hey, whatever. I guess they captured my heart and they're number 2 again.
I accidentally removed it. What's that noise? Is that noise coming on your screen? You guys hearing something?
I'm hearing it. I'll mute my mic. I don't think it's me though.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Here we go. So next time I just realized, oh, I forgot your prize. I'm going to go with Luke to have the better group. And Luke, next time I see you, your prize is this sticker. This sticker.
A little bit of Salt Bay.
Oh, you can see it. Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
Got a little that's your sticker prize next time I see
I'm
you.
gonna put that right
Congratulations.
on my Stanley.
And then next time we do this, I'm gonna memorize everything, and I'm gonna wear this right here.
Oh my!
We'll have official blind
Official
rankings.
blind ranking.
Yes, I can't see the words.
Oh my goodness!
So we have to memorize it. We're gonna memorize it next time. Anyway, so Andor, we love Andor. Andor is nominated for several awards this and that coming weekend. For the Emmys over the next few days. And we'll see if it can come away with any wins. Have 4 wins at the Creative Emmys this last week. And that was really exciting. And some of those, let me pull up those wins real fast. They won for Outstanding Fantasy Sci-Fi Costumes. They won Outstanding Production Design, Outstanding Picture Editing for a Drama Series, and Outstanding Special Visual Effects. As long as some of the music. Yeah. So anyway. We have a few wins. I still think it is a travesty that they did not win for the score for nominating like We Are the Gore. I thought that if I was betting on one, that might have been one I would have bet on. But if I look right now, there's little chance that they are going to come away with an actual win in some of these categories. But if I recall correctly, let me pull up. I'm going to pull up DraftKings. They have the current odds for Andor to win Outstanding Drama Series set at plus 2,800. And that is basically the longest of long shots for Andor to win. However, it is 3rd on the list. So if you are, someone that at least is like, hey, at least we're 3rd, that's, not actually, hold on, wait. I was wrong. That's 4th. I was looking at it incorrectly. That's 5th. They have Severance at minus 200. They have The Pit at plus 175. White Lotus at plus 2,500. Last of Us at plus 2,500. And Andor at plus 2,800. So we're well behind the pack here. However, if it's any consolation prize, Variety said that Andor should win. And they're like, should win and will win. They predicted the Severance would win best, outstanding drama. But they said what should win would be Andor. And Tom, you were mentioning this before the show started, just how prevalent Andor is right now in terms of the conversation and the culture. And while Severance is considered, a fantastic show by all, description of what a fantastic show is, it is one of those things where Andor is definitely perhaps more culturally relevant than many of these shows right now. And obviously, that is a relative term to use. But again, I don't think it's nothing that Variety says they should win. I just think it's Star Wars is not necessarily treated as this, award level type thing for TV a lot of times. But here we are. Do we think that Andor will come away with a few wins in some other categories this weekend?
I do. I mean, it's a dark horse in the competition, as they say. I think that what you said, some of the themes of Andor are very prevalent in the culture right now. So I think that helps it in the conversation. I think one of the things that may hurt it is that no major actors are nominated or actresses are nominated, that like the mains aren't. I know Forrest Whitaker is nominated, but none of the main actors are nominated. So I think that hurts a little bit, but it's nominated in other big categories. So and it's as far as I mean, I feel like when it was in it for season 1, you hardly heard of it outside of, I guess the circles that, like these, where fans are talking about it and praising it. So I've been hearing this from so many people. I think it has a stronger chance than we think, but I mean, I want it to win more than anything. I think we will legitimize so many things with Star Wars. It showed that Star Wars could get in those categories and be part of those big name, big name awards instead of a lot of the technical ones, which Star Wars properties usually, I don't want to say settle for because they're artists in their own right, but to be, I guess, have this kind of exposure
like a headline award, whenever we're, for instance, Miguel and I did like an Oscars episode for our, Deep Space Cinema podcast, which I need to get with Miguel because we need to talk about some movies. It's been a while, but when we were talking about the Oscars, we didn't lead off with best visual effects Oscar goes to like, who do we think is going to win? No, we're talking about best picture. We're talking about, best lead actor, best lead actress. Like those are the big awards that we were talking about to start. And, Andor not having a nomination there probably does hurt it to some degree. However, just like Tom said, it being in the conversation is pretty fun. Just having it in the conversation is nice because that's not something we've seen before for Star Wars TV outside of, this 2-season show that we got. Luke, I know you're not someone that is entrenched in the award season. I know that, you go to the movies and you just relax, you have a good time, and you want to go see this, a film. So I'm going to ask you kind of a different question here about Andor. And that is, if you were having to, because you've been gone for a little while, if you had to pick someone from Andor, like an actor from the cast, to represent the cast in one of the acting awards, who would you have wanted for? It could be a best lead, it could be a supporting. Who do you really think deserve to get their due for this?
Did we have Genevieve O'Reilly? Wasn't she in the conversation? I would choose her. I think she's phenomenal in every scene that she's in, season 1 and season 2. I'd love to see her get her flowers. And then kind of a dark horse, I guess, supporting role, technically, I'm not sure, would be Elizabeth Delau. She's extremely commanding whenever she's on screen. So I would love to see her get more roles, more jobs, and I would love to see her get recognized for her amazing grit and talent.
I agree 100% because Elizabeth Delau was the surprise for me for season 2 of just how incredible she was. I really am upset. And the longer I've sat with this, I really am upset about Diego not getting nominated, even though a lot of times with Andor, I feel like we talk about everyone but Diego when it is his show.
He's the titular character.
But it doesn't feel that way a lot of times in season 1. Season 2, I think it does more so. And I think there's a quote that he had on one of the interviews that he was doing for Andor when he was talking about Star Wars coming to an end for him, that really is always like stuck with me. And I'm going to paraphrase. I don't remember it right off the top of my head. I just remember that, like, the word for word. But I remember he was talking about how before Rogue One, like how much, with acting, like all the main roles that he was getting were like villain roles for like some sort of like cartel villain or someone in prison, fulfilling kind of that, like that, Latino man stereotype that maybe, funnels in. And that was kind of the only roles that he was kind of getting. And he was very cordial. He's like, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I had gotten before Star Wars. But this was, an opportunity where one of the first times he said, I got to play like a hero, someone that people would look up to, someone that people would really admire, someone that people aspired to be. And the way that the entire time throughout the process with Rogue One, Andor season 1, Andor season 2, how much he has embraced that and just seems to just absolutely be so grateful for the journey and has ingratiated himself with the fans and the fandom and has really just loved, like, I think in the core of his being has loved being Cassian Andor and being the character for a show that represents so much on, like what Tom mentioned, like such a culturally relevant level of where we're at right now. I really wanted him to have not because I didn't think there was any chance he was going to win given the field, but just have that moment where he was honored here in this way. Now, of course, Diego's one of those people, like when he's been talked to, is like, it's I'm glad that we were nominated as a series because it's all of us together. He's gonna say all the right things, and I'm not trying to suggest he is butthurt about this at all, but it's more about, I think, I just wish he had gotten the chance to have that shining moment to be nominated for a role that clearly has been a big deal for him and a big deal for a lot of people. And I think that it doesn't like Rogue One, and I'm sorry, I'm talking too much here. The diversity of that cast, I think, is also so important because there's a lot of, people that I've heard that have gravitated to different characters from that show that look like them, that sound like them, that feel like them, that they haven't really seen in Star Wars before. And then I think Diego kind of is the poster for like what that represents to people because he is like the character of, Jin's like the character of Rogue One, but then it's Cassian and then he's like the guy for Andor. So I don't know. I was really wish he had gotten a chance to have that moment. But if that'd be my pick. I think that Genevieve O'Reilly is probably my number 2 with Elizabeth Delau. But anyway, I'll throw it back to you guys if you had any other comments on some of the Andor, Emmy stuff.
And one thing I will say is that he was recognized elsewhere for that role. I think he had a Golden Globe nomination, if I'm not mistaken, and a BAFTA, I believe, if not for season 2, then for season 1. But thankfully he did get it. And he also, if the nominated, he's an executive producer on the show. So as far as the nomination for best drama series, I think that he shares in that too. So I'm glad, and I think that I hope he enjoys, and he has seen, and he's really thanked the fans. He's seen the fan response, and not just that, but I guess the general response. Hopefully that's satisfying for him too. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something special, and one reason that again, for it to be nominated is a huge honor. For it to win, I think would, it's silly to say it'll open doors for the Star Wars franchise as if it needed, doors open. But I think we're at a point in the franchise where it needs something like that. I hate to say to legitimize, but to show people what's possible. And I think that it would attract more interest in doing a show like Andor. Like I said, it's not like you want to copy it or do something and be a carbon copy, but I think it will inspire more interest for filmmakers that may not have chosen that kind of job to do something in the Star Wars universe, which I think would be great. And
especially on like a TV level too, like because This legitimizes like what Star Wars streaming is and what Star Wars shows are, and justifies to some degree for Disney probably like, oh, like we made this product, like we have, this recognition and this almost, validity to it now. Maybe we should do something like that again instead. Well, we're never going to spend money like that again because we know what happened when we did that with Andor.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, it's been so generally praised and talked about, like I said, I am a big fan of season 1, obviously, but it hasn't received the buzz that season 2 has. So
right.
It's I think it already, in a way, it's a huge win already for Lucasfilm, for the franchise, but a win here at the Emmys would be really huge.
If you guys had to pick one episode of season 2 that was your favorite, just like to reminisce about Andor season 2, because I think sometimes we forget that came out this year. I mean, this is the latest Star Wars project that we had. It wasn't that long ago we were sitting around so excited for Andor every single Tuesday night.
Let me
my favorite, hands down, is Who Are You? And Nate jumped into the chat and he called it out for directing. I think it has a good shot at that as well. But that was my favorite episode of season 2. I think it's just perfect. In so many ways, on so many levels, the performances, the effects, the emotion, just everything about it is perfect. And I mean, there are other ones that are just as great as that, and I know you guys are going to probably mention those too. But yeah, I think for me it was Who Are You?
It's an excellent one. Luke, what are yours? Like, if you had to pick one episode.
Because I mentioned Elizabeth Delau, I'm going to go with the second to last episode. I believe that's where she has to complete the mission, where she kills Luthen. I would choose that
where she kills Luthen.
Yeah, it's and you'd have to watch, the whole season to get to that point and realize why it's such a good episode. But oh my gosh, just the thrill of her walking down all those scenes, sneaking past all the guards. Every second of that episode had me gripped for something or other, and there's side plots going along with that episode as well.
Right.
I mean, there might not have been. I think that actually might have been solely focused on Clea's storyline. So it was just so singularly focused in, where you're used to having 2 or 3 storylines going per episode. So to have something that focused in felt different and special from the rest of the show, and then for it to be so good and just the gravitas of that.
I saw that episode in front of an audience, and it was just riveting.
Yes,
because it felt like its own movie. It was like they threw a movie in the middle of season 2, and it was perfect. And to see it with an audience and the reaction in the room, and it's such a different experience than watching it by yourself, at home. So it was that's an amazing episode. Definitely up there.
We got the Dedra Luthen showdown in that episode, I believe, right? That happens at the very beginning of that episode and that's just awesome when they're feeling each other out, trying to figure out what each other knows, and he knows that she knows. It's so good. And
in the theater, we saw it in a theater, but when she puts the Star Path unit down, it was so powerful. Like, you felt it, like the sound, because of, they had a great sound system and everything. You just felt that, and everyone just kind of like, you'd hear the oh my God.
Like, oh my gosh, it's happening.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, I would go with Welcome to the Rebellion. That's my pick for the season. Who Are You's definitely number 2 for me, I think, because just the We Are the Gore, the singing, the everything, and that one just gets me. But man, Genevieve O'Reilly's speech in the Senate floor about the monster will come for us all, mixed in with Cassian hearing that, and right when he's kind of on his way out, so to speak, like he's, you know what I mean? He's still not fully in on everything. He's very much, he's doing this for Luthen, and he's doing this for Clea, but he also, he's not so wholly committed yet. And it's, but if we want to go to the Mon Mothma speech, like Cassian hearing that, the galaxy being able to hear that, but all of the like moving pieces to make sure that her speech is heard by the galaxy, to make sure that they don't pull the plug too fast, and then Cassian having to help Mon on the way out was great. But then I'm reading the Mask of Fear for like the Reign of the Empire like trilogy right now, but it is interesting when Mon sees like the people get shot, like Cassian's shooting people, and she's like, but it's like some of the stuff she's seeing in this book, like she might have been a little bit more prepared for this, but anyway, but it's fine, but no, Andor season 2 is going to be remembered forever and cherished by not just Star Wars fans, but everyone. And we've talked a lot about who would you want to meet at a Star Wars convention and whatnot. And, for me, is, I've always said Ian McDermott, and then Tom, I know, is very much like any of the originals, like Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, or if George Lucas was ever there somewhere. And then Luke, I'm going to guess for you. Can you remind me who you picked again? Like if you were doing something like that.
I kind of don't even know myself. I've met Hayden and Rosario Dawson, and they were amazing. So I would love to do a sequel trilogy. I would love to meet a sequel trilogy person. But Daisy, Adam Driver, they're never going to be there. Mm-hmm. But like,
I tell you what, though,
I did meet Adam Driver actually. He was. My daughter was so jealous. He was doing a play in New York, and me and my other daughter stage doored it. We waited, and he came out, and I'm telling you, that guy was so intimidating. Like his presence, he's so tall and big and wide.
Yeah.
That he came up and he signed my program, and he was just so. I could just imagine, putting myself in Daisy's shoes. But yeah, very nice
Also,
man.
he's from Indiana. He's from Mishawaka, Indiana. So like there's that, I have the little connection there too. So it's like I really would love to meet him. I'm so jealous. That's amazing.
You have the connection. You basically walk the same path.
He was nominated for Tony for the show. He was phenomenal in it. And the funny thing is it was right before. It was in 2019, so it was months before episode 9 came out.
Yeah.
So, and his character in the show, he was like this funny character. It was like such a departure from Kylo Ren. So it was very strange. But when he walked out, I'm telling you, and it's so funny too because Kerry Russell was also in the show.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Zori Bliss, the daughter of Zeva Bliss.
What with Kylo Ren? I think Adam Driver's the best. The key is I love anything that he's in. He plays goofy, funny, super serious. He's intimidating. He does everything so well. What I was going with that though is Diego Luna is someone that if he was ever doing like a panel somewhere to talk about Andor, talk about anything, like that's one where I would fight to get into that one because I would just the joy and like passion that radiates off of him when he's talking about things that he loves is just so contagious that I would just want to be in the same room as that because the vibes would just be so immaculate and you would feel uplifted just leaving. Like you would just feel so great. You would leave feeling like better about yourself, have a restored faith in humanity. You'd be inspired to go fight the Empire, whatever that looks like for you. And so that's one that I would love to be a part of. So like every time, if MegaCon for Orlando's rolling around, I'm always like fingers crossed right now as, in the next few months, they'll start announcing some people who are going to come down for that next March. And I'm like, maybe we'll get some Andor love. Maybe we'll get a Diego Luna appearance. That'd be fantastic.
He crashed the thing I went to with Tony Gilroy, so I did get to see him. So I'm kind of been a little spoiled, I guess. But yeah, that was a surprise, and the crowd went nuts. And he, like you said, his enthusiasm about it just, I think it was like an hour talk that they did after they showed the episode, and it's just like it could have went on. I just wanted to stick around and listen to them talk.
Well, what's crazy too, now we think back on with Stephen Colbert and stuff going off the air, like you were there for one of his last, late shows and everything too. So that's another interesting, fun fact, I guess, if that's a fun fact. But anyway, but no, so Andor, it's gonna be great. Can't wait. But something else comes out in, I believe, like next week or the 19th, I think, something like that, like a week, like 8 days from now, and that will be Rebuild, the galaxy. And I'm just curious, we got Ahsoka Tano, like that Ashley Eckstein's voicing, like Bricks Ahsoka Tano. We have, I think, Darth Revan, like they're gonna be in this, and obviously we're following like Sig and Jag and Jedi Bob again as we're rebuilding the galaxy. There's a Sith or some evil villain, Darth something, or I forget his name, Santalus or Scontalus. I'm kind of blanking on it. If someone wants to look up his name, I'm blanking on his name. But there's some villain. But I'm curious. We'll talk about it probably in a couple of weeks when we get a chance to watch it. And I'm curious though, if you two could rebuild the galaxy in some way, what would be one of the foundation building blocks to you rebuilding the galaxy of Star Wars? Like, what would you be doing? What changes would you be implementing to serve the galaxy in a better way?
Our foundation block. So what is that? The thing that doesn't change, everything else does?
So let me give you an example. This would be mine. Number one, completely doing away with the Chosen One prophecy. Wiping it away. And Anakin is just a regular old bloke that happened to get brought into the Jedi Order by Qui-Gon. And you kind of, in my opinion, maybe release some of the things that are just restricted by the Chosen One prophecy. You do away with some of the like restrictions with that, and you loosen up the story a little bit, and kind of some of the ways that it gets convoluted, people get confused, the whole Chosen One thing. I think it takes on too big of a presence in Star Wars at this point. And then with the sequels, with Rey having to bring the balance back, as I did, as Hayden says there, and you just kind of do away with this whole idea of Anakin was the one who brought balance to the Force at the end. He was the chosen one. Instead, it's just about a kid who wants to be, this big hero and is so insecure and so traumatized as a child and led astray by people and then just makes the worst choices, but then ultimately, is redeemed. To me, the getting rid of the Chosen One makes the Skywalker saga just like even more about just the Skywalkers and the idea of the Force choosing people and the Force working in different ways. I think it strengthens that instead of having the Chosen One prophecy. Anyway, so that would be like one of my building blocks of how I might rebuild the galaxy a little bit. Of course, you could also rebuild the galaxy with something quite different. You could say something like, we're going to rebuild the galaxy. Maybe you hate Anakin and you hate the idea that we'd ever get Darth Vader and you just want to do away with all that. So you're like, you know what? Sebulba won. And I'm rebuilding the galaxy with Sebulba winning. And they're just trapped on Tatooine forever. And Darth Maul comes in to Shmi's house and murders all of them in their sleep. I don't know. Whatever sadistic thing you want to come up with in your rebuild the galaxy, great. It could also be like a beautiful thing where, the Trade Federation are trying to set this up. But guess what? Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon settled those trade disputes in 5 seconds. I don't know why I keep going back to the Phantom Menace, but here we are.
It's your guilty pleasure. Yeah, go for it, Tom.
R5-D4's motivator was good. And it never blew. And then that would derail everything.
R5.
I love how they brought him back in The Mandalorian. That was just really cool.
Oh yeah, it's like one of she's like he's like one Pelimato droids or whatever back there.
He's still got the burn scar where
and he's
I think so.
But when you think about it, if that didn't happen, how different would the galaxy be?
No R2.
It'd be a wild place. It would be raging with Imperials from Coruscant to Tatooine.
I think mine would be that for whatever reason, Obi-Wan and Yoda, in the aftermath of Revenge of the Sith, decide to put Luke and Leia in their opposite spots. And so Luke grows up as a prince, and Leia grows up scruffing it on Tatooine. And I would be interested to see
kind of like
what
Rey.
a very civilized Luke would look like, and what a scroungy Leia would look like, and how that would influence, like, what would Han look like when he comes into the picture, because now he's not after, you know, some royal princess that he has like a love interest in. Does he buy in? Does he take them? There's just a lot of different ways that could go. I'm really interested to see what would happen if the Skywalker twins flip.
Maybe the most unbelievable, like the thing that's so hard to suspend your disbelief on in all of Star Wars is that Luke somehow survives like 18 years on Tatooine because of how much of a wimp he is in the beginning. You know, this guy, you're telling me this guy survived the sounds of Tatooine? Like, nah, get out of here. Like, Leia would have been, you know, Obi-Wan would have tossed her the lightsaber, you know, and she wouldn't have looked through it, you know, with holding it up to her face. She would have got it. She's immediately doing all the forms. Like, she's just ready to go. She's been battle hardened in the Dune Sea for the last 18 years. Like, no, every time I watch that, I think back, I'm like, how did Luke not just completely get his ass kicked all the time? Like, this guy is just stop. And then, no. So I suspend my disbelief. I would love to see Leia, you know, in that capacity. Yeah. You know, one of the best memes ever in all of Star Wars that makes me laugh every time is when Obi-Wan dies and Luke is like, I can't believe it. Like, Leia is the one consoling Luke in that moment. And someone says to me, like, woman just got tortured. Like, Leia just been tortured for the last several days and watched her planet of billions just get completely destroyed in an instant, and now she might have put the entire Rebel Alliance at risk, and Luke's just sitting there going, my mentor of the last 6 hours is gone. Like, he's like, I met him, so you know, he's been my mentor for 2 days and he's gone. I don't know what to do. And she's like, it's gonna be okay, buddy. And like Luke having to be consoled like this, you know, I'm just kidding.
They did a Robot Chicken, I think, skit of similar in that vein. I think of her confronting him that, like, yeah, get over it.
Oh man, it's so that meme is so good. It makes me laugh every time. Just like, she just had every single person she knows like die, and she's the one consoling Luke. It's just so good.
I mean, I would love to see a real what if, like the Marvel ones, with you know, it could be an animated series, but not. I mean, the Lego is, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's fun. It's, you know, for younger audiences, they joke around, but like to see a real what if Star Wars animated series, I think would be pretty cool, because, you know, we just throw these out and like some of them are like, oh, that would be interesting to see if things went differently.
I got a book one. And this is from Leia, Princess of Alderaan by Claudia Gray. Saw Gerrera does not blow up, or whoever, I think it was Saw Gerrera does not kill Moff Quarsh Panaka in Leia of Alderaan after he was about to call Palpatine suspicious about who Leia's mother was. And because of the resemblance that, you know, she had the timeline of her birth, and why Leia was not allowed to go to Naboo. Like, they did not want her going to Naboo. When they found out she went there, they were freaking out a little bit. And what if Panaka was able to make that call to the Emperor about that? Like, what could have taken place there? And that, to me, would be interesting, because then the real question is, does Palpatine even tell Vader? Or does he try to take care of this without Vader knowing? And I've always wondered that when Palpatine tells Vader, you know, an Empire, like, this is undoubtedly the son of, you know, Anakin Skywalker. Part of me is always, and especially with some of the comics we have now, it's like, well, Vader has known that for some time and, you know, has been pursuing Luke. But there's also a level of Palpatine already probably knows that Vader knows this and is telling him not out of a sense of I'm keeping you in the loop, but he's trying to pull the strings of manipulation the best he can, given what Vader already knows. But what if Vader has no idea at all that his, one of his children is alive? Is that something that Palpatine would tell him to try to test him in some way again? Or is Palpatine like, I don't want to, he's like sending him off chasing ghosts of Padme on Mustafar and some of these things is one thing, but actually having him confront his child, that might be something I don't want to deal with. I'd be curious to see how Palpatine would have reacted, to that news and if he would tell Vader or not.
Yeah, because you're assuming that Palpatine didn't know about Leia. He finds out about Luke, and he tells him in The Empire Strikes Back, it's the offspring of Anakin Skywalker, and because he probably sensed Luke using the Force, or training. And maybe that's how he found. I'm just speculation.
They also got the whole, Luke decided, they decided we're just going to keep the same name because there must be a bunch of people with the name Skywalker from Tatooine running around. Sure, that's not a common name at all. And then also, can we talk about how
can't explain that one.
Luke having the last name Skywalker? This is another thing. This is funny. This is funny Star Wars, semantics, right? But Luke having the last name Skywalker on Tatooine, where the only human to have ever won the most ESPA classic was a kid with the last name, Skywalker. This is something that, what is going on Tatooine that they've lost their roots of pod racing, that they aren't remembering the greats and the legends before. You think they would have a yearly special on, Tatooine, ESPN, of 30 for 30 sports documentary. What if I told you a 9-year-old boy defied all the odds and was the only human that could ever do it? And you're telling me that's not playing every once in a while?
Seriously.
And
we know in Andor that pod racing was still a thing. So I'm sorry, Luke. I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. He won that race in 32 BBY. We're only talking it's 30 years later. It's not like it's not like the myth of 100 years ago. It's no, that's should be pretty recent in people's minds. 30 years ago, you remember that dynasty football or basketball.
Jordan's Bulls were winning championships 30 years ago, and we're still talking about MJ all the time. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls 30 years ago in the 90s, and we're still talking about the Cowboy glory days. You're telling me we're not talking about Anakin Skywalker winning his Potters, which is interesting that. They actually mentioned in Legacy of Vader 2. I just read that comic and put a little review on TikTok for it. It was really fun. And they actually, Kylo completely etches out Anakin's name on the board of past champions outside of the arena with his lightsaber. And because he just is trying to erase the past, the whole let the past die thing that he's unable to let die. And that's, anyway, that's neither here nor there, but it's fun little stuff. Any other Rebuild the Galaxy moments for you guys?
You wouldn't have anything happen at all. The galaxy would be completely dust if Markian Rowe had succeeded in his plan in the High Republic.
Luke said, that's actually not rebuilding the galaxy at all. That's just complete, and that's ending the galaxy.
What if you destroyed it all?
Luke just said, what if we had 9 films about the Blight consuming the last of the worlds and just completely being... So essentially, Tom in the High Republic, the main villain, has a moment where he's like, oh, he wants to be... So this is spoilers for High Republic out there for some people, but there's a moment where the main villain has a chance. He wants to be the greatest person who's ever lived, and he is so evil and narcissistic that he's like, how can I be the greatest person if there's going to be people that exist after me? So he's makes a choice to do something where if it's not stopped, the entire galaxy is destroyed. Because he's I want to be the one that makes the final decision for everyone. Because I want to be that person. Even if no one remembers me, I'll die knowing I am that person. I'm that's crazy. That's crazy. It's messed up.
Nice.
That's wild. Oh my gosh. Rebuilding the Galaxy. I'm excited. I love the little Lego stuff. It's so fun to just kind of sit back and watch and laugh about, and then forget about a little bit later. Last little bit here. I want to talk about this real quick about the Ninth Jedi. I don't know if we've really talked about this on the show. This is one of my favorite episodes from Vision season 1, and they're doing like a whole Ninth Jedi series now, which is going to be really fun, like a little, short series for it. And I'm curious, do you guys have thoughts on the Ninth Jedi? Do you remember the Ninth Jedi? Have you guys seen Vision season 1? And because this to me was one of the best, little Star Wars short, stories I've seen.
I have essentially rewatched both seasons here in the past couple months, so it's kind of fresher on my mind than it definitely used to be. Ninth Jedi is kind of a standout. Season 1 is, I think it's all pretty good. Season 1 is especially good, and this was one of the best ones. Obviously, they're choosing to invest even more into it. I'm very excited. I think it played with Star Wars's lore in a fun way. It changed, there isn't like a canon reason for why this blue is blue and green is green for these people.
Right.
I know in Legends that's kind of a thing, but it was really fun to just have this like almost like a mood ring, like color changing. Also, it's awesome that there's this story about the Jedi being depleted in number. The Sith are hunting them down. It feels like something akin to the Old Republic, where there's lots of Sith hunting down the Jedi. Just not something we've seen in recent time, and especially on screen in the visual medium. So it's just very exciting to get a story like this that is very Star Wars, but we just haven't had a lot of it. So I'm excited to see what this series gives us.
I love that.
Is there a release date for the series?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I have to say I really did enjoy that one. Again, it is, as Luke said, a standout. I have to rewatch because it's been some time since I've seen it, but I do remember it being very very compelling as far as like you want to know more of the story. So I'm excited for that.
So I
was like, what does her dad do? Like, he's making the sabers. Like, there was all this stuff that was kind of packed in there.
Yeah.
It was just really well done.
What's the name of the Luke? What's the name of the saber builder from High Republic comics?
The saber builder.
The guy who's building the sabers. He builds the armor, I think. Kirek
Infila.
Yeah, maybe that's the father.
He was helping build stuff.
That was the father. So I have a final question for both of you. First one is for Tom. Tom, do you know how many days we are away from The Mandalorian and Grogu?
How many days are we? I don't know. I know it's May 28th?
22nd. We're 253 days away for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Let's freaking go. That's question number 1. Question number 2, this is for both of you. One of the videos I did the other day was, I'm really curious if you had to pick one prequel Jedi that we don't have a lot of like stories about that you could have a book for, what prequel Jedi would you pick? And it's been fun to see like the comments of everyone having like a different, person. Like I've seen Jocasta Noobs out there. I've seen some Yaddles, a lot of Plo Koon, Kit Fisto. I picked like Luminara because I thought it'd be fun to have a story of Luminara and Barriss together, and then bookended with how them together towards the middle is the falling out between the two, where Barriss ends up going to the dark side, and then bookended with what I consider to be one of the most devastating things in Star Wars, which is Luminara's being used to lure other Jedi in to be captured and killed by the Inquisitors. And then, but we don't really get clarity on what that means and like what that looks like. How did that happen? And it'd be like a tragic book, but it's one I would really enjoy for Luminara. But I'm curious for both of you, if you had to pick a prequel Jedi, and you can't say like Obi-Wan or Anakin, no Mace Windu, and no Yoda, because we have Mace Windu novels, we have a lot of Yoda, stuff.
Right.
And those I feel like those are out there. No Qui-Gon. I feel like we have Qui-Gon novels. Like those to me are outside of like those Jedi. I feel like everyone else is up for grabs.
I kind of have two. I was definitely going to go with. I am going with Shakti. She's very cool. I don't think we know a lot about her, so I just feel like we could really benefit from having more story from her. I think you could do anything you need to, like tell any kind of story you wanted to. I don't think she's very tied to any certain event, certain other character, certain other relationship necessarily. I know she spent some time on Kamino. She's kind of stationed there with the clones. There could be something interesting with her in a Bad Batch crossover because she's on Kamino. That would be
what if she's the Jedi leading like their first mission? They go on their mission and with Shakti because she's the one stationed on Kamino. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I was also going to say maybe throughout.
You said we don't know a lot about Shakti. We know a lot about how she doesn't die, I guess, because she has so many deaths in Star Wars that have been cut, changed, reversed. Like they're going to figure out how this person dies. She's died a million ways. We know about all the ways she can die.
And also, I would be a fake Kanan Jarrus #1 stan if I didn't say Depa Billaba, his master. Could use something.
There was one person that said Depa Billaba in like the comments. They were saying that they were saying they would love to see what Mace was like as a master and how Depa Billaba was such a had to be like a force of nature to be Mace's apprentice. And one of the reasons she chose Kanan was because of how many questions she asked, or he asked all the time. And they were wondering if that was because she wasn't allowed to ask questions as Mace's apprentice. And so I am curious.
That would be
one more
so
thing
funny.
about Shakti. Question. This is going to make me sound ignorant, maybe. Do we know how she officially dies, like in canon? Because there's the cutscene with Grievous kills her on the ship in Revenge, and then there's like the cut where she dies in the animated like micro series. But I didn't know if like it was ever confirmed. And then there's like the hand with the lightsaber that falls in the Bad Batch, where they have the body of the Jedi, and we know that she's stationed on Kamino, but we don't know if that maybe there's just other Jedi there. So I'm like, I don't even know if I know how she dies, but I know all these ways that she could have died. I didn't know if that had been established.
I mean, I'm far too deep than any person should be in Star Wars lore, and I don't even really know the canon singular way that she actually. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I'll look that up.
Okay. I saw something that said that Darth Vader stabs her through the back while she's meditating during the Jedi Temple attack.
I've seen that as well. That might be it. I'm not sure.
I hope that's not it. No. Oh my God.
You know who I was going to say? I was going to say, as far as who I would pick, is Sifo Dyas.
Ooh. Great choice. That would be so fun.
I love the story of Attack of the Clones, but I feel like I wish they would have pushed, and I know in the Clone Wars, which was really great, they do pick up that thread, I think in the 6th or the 7th season, which was great. So and I think maybe they explained just about everything that I wanted to know, but I would love to find out more of what was going on at that time, because I think it was around the time of when the events of the Darth Plagueis novel, possibly, or it might be a little before that. So I was always intrigued by that story thread, and I felt like the movies really didn't see it through.
And then there's like the interesting like Clone Wars arc, but there's just and then we have some flashbacks.
Juku Jedi Lost.
In Juku Jedi Lost, there's some flashbacks, but a full story though, because there's like little pieces, but it'd be nice to have the full picture together with it. That would be great. Sifo Dyas is a good one. I like that. That's fun. That is fun. Okay. I like this. That was a good way to close this out here. Any other things you guys would like to get off your chest? Any grievances that you would like to air? Any positivity that you would like to share?
I love in the trailer, as we're talking about rebuilding the galaxy, at the end they showed Jackson, who was this crazy character that pops up in the original Marvel Star Wars comics in like the 70s and 80s. It's just like the most ridiculous character to pop into stores. It's just this bunny basically. And it's so funny that they are using those like as inside jokes now. So anyway, I thought that was really funny to see that.
That's good. That's good. I
On
saw
that
that
note, I know that like one of the most prominent writers for Star Wars comics and novels is Kevin Scott, and he's someone who talked about he like really picked up on those comics between like episodes 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. I forget when he did that, but he was very surprised when he was latching on to these comic characters. The next movie comes out and they're not like Jackson isn't in the movie, obviously. Right. And he was heartbroken. He was like, what? Like, I just love that like the physical media of like books and comics can still mean so much to people. It's funny that people think that those are like more connected than they actually really are. It's funny to me.
Back then in that time, there just wasn't a lot of material and there weren't forums like this. So you would just soak up whatever you could find. And the comic they took, and they still do, they take a lot of liberties. So that's before it was like canon. You know, there was like canon was, you know, Splinter the Mind's Eye and things like that. But you would just soak up whatever was there because there wasn't much. You know, a lot of it was imagination. You know, I'm sounding like an old man, but like a lot of it was what you do with, you know, you'd play with the toys and, you know, you act out your own adventures because there wasn't a lot of content. So it's interesting because I probably had some of those feelings too, watching it. Like, you know, where are these characters? Because they some of the storylines are really silly in the comics, but it's funny. Like I said, that's all we had.
And Nate is correct.
You say that, Tom. Okay. And as much as I love forums like this, like we're able to get on and talk about Star Wars every week in this way, and there's Star Wars Newsnet who's we're pumping out articles all the time. You have all these Star Wars influencers out there with everything. There is a level of nostalgia that I feel for an era I never got to experience that you're talking about, that I almost wish I could have been a part of, where there's not too much noise going on and you're just experiencing it, and there's a level of your people's opinions over something is not formed for them entirely by what the internet thinks or what their 45-second YouTube shorts feed has filtered to them. And maybe we get to these conclusions on our own. Not to say that Star Wars fans were perfect then, because we've seen how people responded to some of those great Star Wars fans responded to the prequels when they came out, you know, just a short time later. But there is a level of when we have so much going on right now, but then now in my opinion, sometimes people take the lore of Star Wars so seriously, like way too seriously, in that, you know, we cannot in any way, shape, form, or fashion alter the lore or jeopardize the lore. And the lore is important, but to me, it's not worth these conversations and these things that we get so upset over, to where there's a week in our lives where Ki-Adi-Mundi's age is the question of controversy over whether or not a Star Wars project is quality or not, and things like that will always kind of bug me a little bit, where, you know, those aren't just those when 10 years ago, that's not something that's being, you know, raged about online. But, you know, it's whatever
time.
Before the dark times, before the Empire.
But yeah.
And then so I'll leave us on a couple notes. One is that thanks to Nate, who has been popping in here, send me a PDF copy of The Final Order that I will be starting to read and write a review for Star Wars Newsnet, that I am very excited to get into. The first book post episode 9. I have about
very exciting
60 about 60 pages left of Mask of Fear, and then I'll probably finish up this weekend, and then hopefully Sunday, Monday start into The Last Order. Very excited about that. And then I'm also very much looking forward to probably next Monday or Wednesday going to the theaters to see Downton Abbey, the grand finale. And I'm ready to cry and weep and be emotional and watch the great family go into the sunset and, not see them again in the final installment of what is one of the greatest things that we have ever seen, which is the several seasons of Downton, and now our third film installment. I am thoroughly awaiting my theater experience with myself and probably about 30 to 40 other 40 to 60-year-old mothers and grandmothers. I'm very excited for that experience.
I'll be going to the movies as well Saturday to see the Demon Slayer movie.
Yes. I'll be going to see The Long Walk this weekend as well.
Oh yeah, I want to check that out.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I gotta support him.
Gotta support. So I'll be doing that. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, everyone. Luke, Tom, it was good to have you both on. 3 of us back talking Star Wars. Would love to get another pod in soon about something. Another live show. And Luke, we got Timeline Show back now.
Yes, we do.
Now that you're back in the swing of things, we can get the Timeline Show going.
Republic Adventures.
Tom and I have been working on our special. We're going to get that done, Tom. We're gonna get it done.
Yeah, we gotta get that done.
We're gonna get it done. Anyway, all right, here we go. For Light and Life, everyone. Remember, Melina So said, we were all the Republic.